an adaptive story. You could have gone anywhere in the world with it. What made you decide to take it in this direction and center it on a theme of love?
That's what I felt when I read Mr. Silverberg's short story. It was speculative fiction, it involved sci-fi, but it was very grounded, and it was very much about emotions and connectivity and relationships. And when I first read it 20 years ago, I think I wasn't even married. I was just getting married, and as a young man, and that next big moment in your life, what if? Is this going to work out? Am I up to it? All of those kinds of things. And every phase in my life, from being married, newly married, to being, married for a while, to having kids, and you see all the directions that your life takes because of one choice. The feelings that I felt when I read the short story, they stayed with me every step of the way, year after year, as I tried to set up the film, tried to get it made, that it was about love, that it was about the most fundamental human emotions. And what I really appreciated later in life, being able to put this film together with a BIPOC cast, and to be able to say to people that all of these things, all of these feelings, they're not just for the prevailing culture, they're for all of us. It was so impactful, Mr. Silverberg's short story. I didn't want to go far from that. If something works, why change it? And I think sometimes in Hollywood, there's a bit of arrogance. Oh, that's a good departure point, but I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to make it richer. Now, this story, it was impactful, and all I could do to make it better was to fill it with a cast like I had: Leslie, Cynthia, Freda, Tommy, Orlando playing Tommy, and Jaden Wong. And it was just a really amazing group of individuals. And I think they all bought into the same thing. It's a big idea in a very intimate film. How can we make it as intimate as possible? And in that intimacy, make it as impactful as we possibly can.
So Leslie, we meet Nick at an interesting phase of his life. We see him through different points, reflected back through our own eyes. For you, when we first meet Nick, where do you think that he is as far as in his journey? Because I think a big part of the lesson in this film is appreciate where you're at as well. So where was Nick at when we first meet him?
Well, I think that Nick is he's at a place where there's a deep fear and anxiety that he's going to lose what he's acquired in his life. He's worried that there's somebody out there that wants to take his life from him. And maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but it is that fear and that worry that starts to create real problems for him in his relationship and in other places in his life. So yeah, he loves his life a lot, and he's got a tight grip on it.
So the interesting thing I think in bringing this story out is that we get to look at someone and those what ifs at certain points. What if we had made one slight different choice? So I wanted to know what the conversations were like between the two of you in setting up sort of the different versions of Nick and his relationships that we see throughout.
I like to think there were very real conversations. I mean, what I really appreciated about Leslie when we first sat down is, he's very real about his life and who he is as a person, and his hopes, his dreams, what he wanted for the future. And really, it was just trying to tap into Leslie as a person. The talent is there, the charisma is there, all those things that make him a star are there. And for me, a lot of what I try to do as director is not say, okay, great, you have all of those skill sets. Let's, change them, throw them out. Let's create some kind of a character and do the process of acting. I want the acting, I want the performing, but I want things that just feel real. And, Leslie, you sit and you talk to people and you can get the sense of people who, okay, they're actors, and that's fine because that's what the audience expects, and we're going to come at it from a real process of just the acting and just hitting those beats. Or you sit with people and you go, man, you're real, and I love all the things that you're saying. I love all the honesty. I mean, that is so much performance. People go, wow, there's not a false beat in a performance, that's because it comes from a real space. And that starts with people who are real and ready to sit down and build that trust, build those relationships, not just with me as a director, but you see it. Leslie has to occupy all these different spaces, relationships with Cynthia's character, relationships with Freda's character, changing relationships with Orlando's character, and even just a familial relationship with Jaden's character. That's a lot of chemistry. And Leslie's one of those individuals, is a very real person, to take moments and realities from his life and say, I'm going to put this into the mix. And that's where you get an honest performance.